everyone, it's your girl, and this is her husband, Trevor. Everybody say hi, Trevor.
Hi, Trevor.
We are about to go on a nighttime gondola ride.
Woo!
I'll insert some footage of what it looks like during the day. We went a few days ago, and it was drop dead gorgeous. And we were thinking it would be super cool to go back at night to look at the stars and the little twinkling city down below. So that is exactly what we're about to do. Had a pretty cozy night so far, and we're gonna go do the gondola ride. We were gonna watch Prisoner of Azkaban because we're doing like a Harry Potter movie marathon, like every day we're watching one. I don't think we're gonna tonight.
You don't think you're gonna make it?
I don't know. It depends on when we get back. Because last night we didn't go to bed until 1 a.m. finishing Chamber of Secrets.
That is
so
true. They are very long movies.
They're like 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do a CSI.
And Prisoner of Azkaban is like my favorite of all of them. So I'm like, I don't want to be like falling asleep while watching it. Just thought I should let you know what we're up to. Any final words?
This is ASMR.
Okay, that's enough. We'll see you at the gondola. Happy Thursday, everybody. Over the course of like the past few days, maybe it's been like a week or so, I have really found a routine that really works for me. I will share that with you guys as we progress through this week in the life, but one of those things is Tomato losing her freaking mind. Watching one of Brandon Sanderson's classes that he has online. I will link it in the description if you're curious. But he has an entire playlist that is his course on science fiction and fantasy writing. I just finished the 3rd course. When I tell you this is changing my life, I mean it. And the fact that it's free, I mean, you guys saw all the notes I was taking. And the crazy thing is I'm applying so much of what he is saying to the Venture series. Also, it's so cloudy, so the lighting is just gonna change as we're sitting here. I'm really trying to prioritize my passions, taking better care of myself as well. I don't know, I'm just kind of on this journey and I'm learning what works for me, what makes me feel really good throughout my day. And one of those things is learning more about writing and being a better writer. He is such a phenomenal teacher too. Like, I've read Mistborn, that's the only book of his that I've read, so I'm like, this makes me want to read all of his other works. This as well. So he's not only a incredible writer, but he's a phenomenal teacher. He's just so good at making everything he's saying make so much sense. It's giving me like revelation after revelation for my own book and stuff, and I'm really, really loving it. This was part 2 on the focus of plot, and personally, my favorite thing is characters, and that's one of the 3 things that he's going to be focusing on. He's going to spend 2 sessions on plot, 2 sessions on setting, and 2 sessions on character. I'm very excited about the character ones. Every time I finish one of his classes, it makes me want to sit down and write, and it's just so cool because I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm being introduced to new ways that I can write and how I can lean in to quirks that I have, I guess, as a writer, where like, I don't know, one thing he said that really blew my mind, which isn't really that mind-blowing, but to hear it from somebody that's so prolific is just, I guess I'm like, oh, well, if Brandon Sanderson is saying it, then it must be true. One of the things he talked about in the introduction was like the major thing when it comes to being a writer and being a better writer is consistency and what that looks like for you. To be honest, in my head, when I think of consistency, I think of sitting down to write and actively writing in my manuscript like a chapter or 2. And to me, I am not successful in the day if I have not done that. He blew my mind because he was like, what does it mean for you? Does it mean sitting down for the day and plotting out what you need to write? Does it mean focusing on your outline? Does it mean making a better character? Does it mean like just working on your book generally? Or does it mean writing every single day in the manuscript? Like maybe you're a binge writer, which I realized when he said that that's what I am. And it was so freeing. And he was like, I don't recommend this, but like you can make it work for you if that's what you are. And you can spend a day sitting down, plotting out everything you need to do, and then binge writing like 5,000 words in a weekend. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I do. Like I will literally think about my book for weeks, months on end, then sit down and write 10,000 words in one sitting. That was very freeing to me. And I was like, how can I embrace that aspect of me? What I started doing since watching the series, I know, not a lot of experience with this so far, but enough for me to share it with you because I'm excited. I spent one day just focusing on the chapter that I needed to write next in my draft, verbatim what needed to happen in the plot of that chapter. And then the next day I wrote it. It was so easy breezy, cover girl. Oh my God. I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm feeling, ever since I wrote yesterday, I wrote like 2,000 words. I'm feeling the flow happening. Like I'm back in Riley's head, my main character, and I feel good about writing. So what I want to do is kind of have a session where I do what I did the first day and I plot out everything that needs to happen in this chapter, and then maybe take a break, take a pause, and then jump back into writing and actually write out everything I plotted before. So yeah, that's just kind of, I'm experimenting with my writing instead of just assuming one way is how I'm going to write for the rest of my life. Because even he said that. He was like, every project is going to be different. How you wrote the first one is going to be different than how you write the second one. Maybe it'll be the same, but for the most part, every writer is different and every project is different. And that was so freeing to me because I was getting really mad and disappointed in myself for not being as capable, it felt like, as I was when I wrote Venture Below, which is the first book in my series. And I was like, man, why can't I just sit down for hours at a time and just binge write this whole thing? And it's because it's not the same book. It's because it's not the same characters. It's got a lot more density when it comes to the world building, and it's not just like quirky characters going on an adventure and trying to figure out the mystery of who she is, and like it's not that anymore. It's so much deeper, and we are dealing with a lot of complex characters and complex emotions. So it's okay for me to take my time and really dive into the best way to portray those things in my writing. That was just a little tangent on writing. I'm very excited though for this vlog. I'm having a lot of fun just documenting the things that I'm starting to include in my life and to become a better version of myself, a better writer, a better person. Damn! And yeah, I wanted to take you on this journey with me. Plus, the fall vibes are so good, dude. Oh my god. The main reason I wanted to make this week in the life is because we are going to a horror show tomorrow in Telluride, which we're not actually going because it is a film festival and they're going to be showing like a bunch of different like horror, thriller, mystery, suspense movies and short films. But the tickets are a little out of our price range. But there is a free little mini event happening. It is authors reading like spooky ghost stories. Let me just show you the lineup. Scary readings by thriller and horror novelists in the light of an actual campfire. Paul Tremblay, who wrote Horror Movie. Stephen Graham Jones, who wrote I Was a Teenage Slasher. He also wrote My Heart is a Chainsaw. And also Grady Hendrix, the author of How to Sell a Haunted House. Oh, what else did Grady? Grady Hendrix has written so many that I recognize. I can't name them off the top of my head. So we're going to go there tomorrow. We're going to go a little bit early and just kind of like walk around the town a little bit. I also have to upload a video for Saturday. Trevor has to do some work. It's going to be a freaking fun time. Yeah, I'm sorry for last night's footage. I definitely, for some reason in my head, thought you would be able to see everything better. No. That's about it. I just felt like chatting with you. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump back into more of my day. I am on chapter 4 of The Secret History, which I am loving. I don't know if I'm gonna write, read, or do a little like yoga Pilates thing. I'm honestly contemplating doing another Brandon Sanderson class because they're just so insightful, and that one felt obviously informational and like information I wanted to know, but not as dense as the first two were. So I'm kind of like, I think my brain can handle another course, but I just don't know what I'm feeling. Maybe I'm gonna do a little stretching. Maybe I'll make myself another coffee. Just finished the second Brandon Sanderson lecture for today. This one was on world building. I skipped the like Q&A one. I'm gonna go back to the Q&As when I finish all of the like straightforward lectures. I do have a magic system and expansive world building for the Venture series. I really enjoyed what he had to say about intensive magic systems, kind of referenced how they are like an iceberg. You have the top part that the reader has discovered and learned throughout reading, and then it is assumed by the reader that as the author you have created this whole lower half that is kind of hidden and unknown, that if they peer down into the water they will see there is more to the world building and more to the magic system. But the trick is sometimes, he said, the lower half of the iceberg is hollow and that you're almost faking it as the author, which was honestly very refreshing to hear, because for some reason in my head I was like, I have to know every single nitty-gritty detail about my magic system and world building, or otherwise I'm like debilitated and like I can't keep going, because what if the reader in the back of their head is like, well, how does this work? And it's like, maybe that can just be a sense of wonder and whimsy, which is what he was saying is good to kind of have like a balance of. And I was like, that is so brilliant. And it's not saying like I shouldn't have answers to obvious questions, but it's like some of the backstory I can just allow the magic to be magic. And I was like, that is really so beautiful. But he was like, you know, unless you want to give in 20 years worth of creating and cultivating this like Tolkien did, where he created a whole language system, a culture for like every species basically in his books. And he was like, you can do that, but if that's not what you want to do and you want to be pushing these books out like every couple of years and stuff, then you need to kind of do this hollow iceberg idea. So I don't know, that was very comforting to hear while I'm trying to create this expansive world building. Anyway, I would honestly love to do a video recapping some of the things that I have really learned that are valuable to me from these lectures. I think I'm going to do it as like a midweek video later this month. So make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications if you're interested in that video. Another reason I have brought you here today is because I saw at 5 o'clock a couple of other author tubers are going to be hosting a writing sprint. So I'm definitely going to pop onto that. I think I want to try to write 1 or 2 chapters tonight. I am working on the plot, like what I need to include in the next couple chapters right now. I'm kind of stuck. That's why I was like, I want to watch another Brandon Sanderson lecture and see if something sparks in my head. And I did come up with an idea for something that's at the very tail end of this book, but I thought could be really sick. Like it just hit me out of nowhere and I was like, oh my God. So I need to write that down before I forget. I'm going to do that little writing sprint session with the other author tubers. I think that's going to be so much fun. I don't really know if I have anything else to say, but yeah, if you're curious about the Venture series and what my journey has been as an indie author, make sure to check out my Confessions of an Indie Author video where I talk about my projects. I give you some writing tips and tricks, what I have learned, how to craft a solid character, and then also just what I'm even working on right now. So if you are curious, I recommend checking that video out just to get updated and filled in on what we are doing as an indie author right now. I think I'm just gonna chill and then do these writing sprints. Just took a little lunch break. I had a sandwich, watched some CSI. I cracked open a Coke, and now I feel like my heart is gonna explode. So that's really fun. Like, it's beating so fast. I feel shaky. I've been drinking water now. I'm going to only drink water for the rest of the night. I think those 2 cups of like cold brew / iced coffee plus this Coke is ruining my experience right now. But that's beside the point. I just sat down and plotted out 6 chapters in like 10 minutes. I think the character development that's happening and progressing in both Adelaide, who is the main character from my first book, as well as Riley, who is the main character of this book, is like really, really good. And I'm forming a lot of relationships and developing some major things, but it is 444. Those are my favorite angel numbers too, so that's awesome actually. So we have a little bit before the writing sprints begin. I wanted to have at least 2 chapters ready for the sprints, like plotted out before 5 o'clock. I have 6 now, so I'm very interested to see how much I'm going to be writing. I did write a poem earlier. That's something that I've been kind of trying again. So I created a document on Scrivener that's just like writing space, but then also like poetry space. So I've been loving that. I wrote the poem in the perspective of the love interest of this book, so that was really fun. Just a little update. I will see you when we get to sprinting. The writing sprint stream just ended. It was so fun hanging out with all the girls. I don't usually do live stream because I'm usually in the middle of nowhere with no service because we live and travel full-time in an RV. Brielle, Alyssa, Natalie, Andy, love you guys. That was so fun. I ended up getting 1,500, 1,600 words. I wrote a chapter and a half during those 2 writing sprints. I'm in the middle of an info dump right now, so I'm not having the best time. I feel like I'm just staring into the void, trying to think of easy enough to understand way for the reader, like what exactly I'm envisioning in my head. Like it's not very clear. Like I'm in my head right now, Riley is being shown a map of this place that I will not be telling you because of spoilers, and she's being shown like certain sections of the map. So like just the mechanics of like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of hard to write, like then he pointed here and explained this kingdom, and like, so I just got through that. That's why I was like slugging along. I wrote like 800 words in that sprint. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might try. What else was I supposed to write in this? Don't have the energy to write the rest of this chapter, so I think that'll be a tomorrow thing, maybe before we go to the horror show thing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for writing tonight. We are still possibly going to watch Prisoner of Azkaban tonight, but the writing sprints were so much fun. I'm definitely going to join them more in the future. Highly recommend following their channels. They are other author tubers, and my dog is drinking water. Yeah, they're great author tubers. They put out such great content. Highly recommend following them. I guess I will see you when I see you.
Not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 authors. So we're going to be here for a few hours. Mr. Jeremy Robert Johnson.
And I couldn't help feeling excited to be here tonight and to be with y'all.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. That was very kind. Thank you, everybody who came. Thank you, Eric, Brady, and Ted for having me back. I mean, this is one of my favorite places on earth. Best-selling author of the newly released So Thirsty and a whole bunch of other books, including Such Sharp Teeth. That novel, along with Stephen Graham Jones's Mongrels, are two of my favorite werewolf novels ever written. I just want to point out that Grady and Jeremy haven't written any werewolf novels because they're lazy hacks. Let's bring up Rachel.
For what it's worth, I'm better on paper, but we're gonna give this a go. And if you see a shadow, maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something. And I have the great honor of introducing New York Times bestselling author, Grady Hendrix.
Hurdled the rows, like kicking people in the head to get there, and it turned out the person had just fainted. Maybe your family's just way too different from mine. Maybe you never see anything in your family that doesn't fit in and you all just decide to make it go away. Maybe this is just something between us Gradys. Thank you, guys. To bring up the finishing move, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, a man who once fought a bear and lived to tell the tale, it's Stephen Graham Jones!
That was hands down so worth it and one of the coolest things that we've ever done. Every one of them did incredible, but I gotta say, my favorite personally was Grady Hendrix, which really makes me excited to read his book that I have. I didn't realize he wrote Ankle Snatcher, which is a short story that I read earlier this year, and I really, really liked that one. So now I'm even more excited to read more of his books. But it was so cool. Like, we were sitting feet away from them. Like, I literally could have like high-fived them. That was just really surreal. We're about to start a fire because it's a little cold, and we are gonna watch Goblet of Fire. I'm gonna make a little dinner, take off my makeup, put my PJs on. But yeah, that was definitely the highlight of our time spent here in Telluride. Good morning, everybody. I just got done with the Brandon Sanderson lecture on characters. It was part 1, and oh my god, I took 4 pages of notes, top to bottom. I knew characters was going to be the one that was going to impact me the most because characters are what I value as a reader and a writer above everything else. If you give me a solid character, I don't really care what happens in the book as long as the characters are fantastic. I don't know what to tell you. It was amazing. I highly recommend this lecture specifically if you are a writer. There was just so much gold inside of this lecture. One thing that impacted me a lot was a magic system is only as meaningful as the characters who use it. Mic drop. He said that within like 2 minutes of this lecture, and I was like, that might be the best writing advice I've ever heard when it comes to fantasy, because it's so true. Like, you can give me an interesting world, but if the characters are flat and boring and annoying, I'm out. I am so out. I can't read that. And I'm trying to craft very realistic characters, and he was just talking about like the 3 major things to make a reader care is to establish empathy, establish rooting interest, which is like their motivation, stuff like that, and then also the progression. So the flaws they're going to have, the journey they go on, will they XYZ? Like, will they get this thing they're after? Will they become a better person? Whatever it might be for your character. So he like broke down all of those things, and it was just so good. He had a section on how to separate character voices. That is literal gold. I actually put it in my notes. I was like, this is gold. Or one of the things he said, like, and recommended doing as a writing exercise was to take your characters and write them only dialogue, but don't use any dialogue tags, and see, will the reader be able to understand who is speaking and who is not without having like they said. And that was crazy to me. And he was like, that's how you know you have a solid character voice, is when you are reading and you know, oh, this person uses bigger words, or this person uses this type of slang, or this person has this background, and that dictates what they say and how they say it. Blew my mind. So I'm going to try that at some point with my characters, because that is something I'm always worried about when, specifically for my series, I'm writing 3 different character perspectives. In like each book is different characters telling the story in first person, and I'm always worried they're going to sound like the same character and have like the same voice. And that's like, I want my readers to be able to tell like, this is Adelaide speaking, or this is Leo speaking, or this is Riley's perspective. So let me know if you want my notes. I will also, like I said, link this entire playlist down below if you are a writer and you are interested. Highly, highly recommend, even if you're not a fantasy writer. And he's very like specific in the lectures, like this is not just for fantasy, even though it's specified for fantasy and science fiction. Segue. I did move my reading goal because my reading goal originally was 50 books, and I hit that a long time ago, like the beginning of this year. I never changed what my goal was, and I just kept racking up the books, and I got to like 110, and I was like, maybe I can move up how many books I want to read this year. In my heart was like, I want to read 100 books this year, and I did it. I already feel accomplished, so why not make a new goal? So I set it to 120, which is, again, I'm definitely going to hit that probably by the end of this month. I don't like losing, so I wanted something that was realistic for me to hit, because last year the most books I read was 41. So the fact that I'm on 114 right now is insane to me. I upped my reading goal. We'll see. The rest of the day, I need to write. I need to finish the chapter that I was working on. Like I said, I still have like 5 other chapters plotted out, so I'd love to get those done. Don't know if it's realistic to say that I'll get that done today. That's really the rest of my day is going to be doing that. And that's about all I got for you. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Give this video a like if you did. Comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!